Hello everybody. So I am watching the Arrowverse for the first time, and I have made it to Arrow Season 5, so today I'm going to talk about it. Let's go. I have to say that this season had an insane arc in my enjoyment of it. Like, at the beginning of the season, I was like, this is some of the worst Arrow ever. This is just, I don't know what they're doing. They brought in all these new characters, and they're not, none of them are really that interesting, and I was just like, this isn't really that good. This may actually be the worst Arrow I've ever seen. But then, as it went on, the last half of it was some of the best Arrow I've ever seen. Like, I don't know what happened. I don't know if they, were able to do like a course correct, and because they had gotten feedback of the first half, they were able to make changes to make the latter half better. I don't know what happened, but just there's a really stark difference between my enjoyment of the beginning of the season than there is at the end of it. And as I just said, a lot of that is coming from all the characters that they brought in, because I guess they were like, oh, we need to make this show new and fresh and bring in all these new characters, which I feel like a lot of shows do that. Like, late in the show, they bring in new characters to, try to make the show fresh, try to make it better where it may have gotten stale. But the problem that a lot of shows run into with this is that, once you're at season 5, the main draw to the show has become the characters. And so to bring in other characters that you now have to give backstories and now have to make interesting and now have to, get audience invested in, that is hard to do. Whereas if you just use the characters you already have, people already like those characters. People already like Oliver Queen and Felicity Smoke and John Diggle and Quentin Lance. People already like all of the main cast of the show. You don't need to bring in all these other characters like Rene Ramirez, Wild Dog. He was probably the best of them. At first, I was like, okay, this guy is annoying. They want me to be interested in him, and I am not invested in this character at all. But, I actually, as the season went on, I started to really enjoy his character once, they kind of, gave the backstory with, what happened with his wife and his daughter, and I started to interact with Quentin, and he started to work at the mayor's office. I think that adding in all of that made his character more interesting, and actually got me to be invested in him by the end of the season. So I think that out of all of the new characters they introduced this season, he's probably the best. Even though, if you gave me the choice to have him or not have him, I'd probably just say, I don't really need him. But he started to grow on me as it went on. So I think, again, out of all of the new characters they introduced, he's the best. Then we also have Curtis, or Mr. Terrific. He was introduced last season, but he really becomes a hero on the team this season. He becomes Mr. Terrific. I honestly hate that name. I know it's probably from the comics, but that just is too much for me, Mr. Terrific. What? So, not the biggest fan of that name, and even less of a fan of the character of Curtis. I just think that he's basically Felicity 2.0, although 2.0 I think kind of implies there's an upgrade, but he's a pretty big downgrade. So, yeah, I could do without Curtis. I think that he really doesn't add anything to the show besides, just being another Felicity. So I think that I don't really enjoy his character at all. I'm not invested in his character. They want you to be invested in his character and his relationship with his husband, Paul. They want you to be invested so badly, and you're just like, I just don't care at all. So, then we also have Artemis, or Evelyn Sharp, and she was also introduced last season for one episode after Laurel died, and she tried to become the new Black Canary. She ends up being revealed to be working with the villain Prometheus, and that was kind of supposed to be like the big moment, like, oh no, I feel so betrayed, she's working with the villain, but instead I'm just like, oh, thank God. That probably means she's not going to be on the show much longer. She's not going to be, like, a main character on the show, so... Yeah, so, I hate that that's how I felt about it, but that honestly is because I just didn't care about her character at all, so... That kind of big reveal that was supposed to be a big betrayal was just kind of... Alright, you might as well, at least the good thing is... again, she didn't, she kind of wasn't, regular character or main character on the show much longer after that. She appeared every once in a while, but she was more, in the background just as the person who's working with Prometheus. So yeah, so her character, they wanted you to feel invested in her character so badly, and you're just like, I do not care at all. Then we have Ragman. Don't even remember his name, didn't even care to look it up. He's there for the beginning, for the first, 9 episodes, and then he disappears. And I like the idea of his character of being, a survivor of, last season when Felicity diverted Damien Dark's missile to that town. He's a survivor of that, and that creates some tension between him and Felicity, and that's what ends up, causing him to quit the team, which that was supposed to be, I think, like, oh no, he's quitting the team, but instead it was like, thank God he's quitting the team, because I do not care about his character at all. I think just the whole thing with just the rags, with Ragman, Ragman, really? Like, Mr. Terrific, Ragman. Those are awful names. Like, what is happening? Why are those names so terrible? So, he has the whole thing with the rags that he could do anything with so I don't know how the rags work. I just didn't care about his character at all, so, I was happy when he left. I think he's another character they wanted you to be invested in so bad, and nobody was, so, he was kind of booted out very quickly, so I think that was a definite win for the show. I think that's what allowed the last half of it to be better, since you didn't have to have the, Ragman there and have to, have this character there that nobody cares about. So, it's good that he left, and we also, the kind of last character that gets introduced is Dinah Drake. She becomes the new Black Canary, and I actually enjoyed her character. I think that Renee Ramirez and Dinah Drake, if you could only have 2 of the new characters, which ended up being how it worked out, those are the 2 that I would want. Or I guess we also have Curtis, but if you're only going to have 2 of the new characters this season, these are the 2 that I'd want, and these are the 2 that we get, so that was good. I think they did her backstory well. It's cool having her be a metahuman instead of, having to use, the sonic device. Like, it's actually her superpower to, scream. It kind of follows the same trope that all of the Flash villains from season 1 have, where it's like, she was screaming when the particle accelerator exploded, so now she has screaming powers. It's like, really? That's the explanation. But weird explanations for how people get powers aside, I think that is actually, a cool new thing that, again, her ability to, do the whole sonic scream, canary cry thing, that comes from herself, actually. Her, power is actually to do that, and again, not the sonic device that Laurel had to use. And she also has a good kind of interactions, good relationship with Quentin. Seems like that's kind of the thing that gets me to enjoy these new characters, is if they have a good interaction with Quentin Lance, they have a much better chance of me actually enjoying their character, because the same with Renee Ramirez and with Dinah Drake. That's it for all of the new characters this season, at least just the ones that, are part of Team Arrow for at least part of the season, and pretty much none of them are really that interesting, at least not as interesting as the characters that we already have. Some of them are better than others, but none of them are, that great. And I think that's one reason why the first half of the season I didn't enjoy as much as the last half. Because it was just kind of a lot of setting up all these new characters so that you could be invested in them for the last half. And I think inherently that's not as interesting as, following a character that you're already invested in is a lot easier than having to get invested in a character, 5 seasons into a show. Anyway, though, that's all I want to say about the new characters, and I want to move on to Oliver Queen is the mayor. That happened at the end of last season. He became the mayor of Star City, and I think that idea worked better on paper. I thought it was going to be a lot better than it actually ended up being. I think it just added a lot more confusion to it, I feel like, because it's honestly, Oliver shouldn't have to be the Green Arrow if he's doing his job as the mayor right. So, that's one thing you just kind of have to look over that fact and just kind of take it as okay, he's the mayor, he's also Green Arrow. That's just what we're going to have to deal with, even though it doesn't make a ton of sense. It seems like they just made it so he's creating the laws by day, but then breaking them by night by, being a vigilante. So it's just kind of a weird, complex, confusing thing having him be the mayor and the Green Arrow. So I don't think that worked nearly as well as, I thought it was going to, and, as it could have. So yeah, I think that, again, it didn't work the best. Eventually, he even has to choose between saving his reputation as mayor or as the Green Arrow. He has to end up throwing the Green Arrow under the bus and saying he killed Felicity's cop boyfriend, because Prometheus kind of tricked him into doing it, and he ends up, Adrian Chase, who's actually Prometheus, ends up, getting him to cover it up, and that ends up getting leaked, and, he's, as the mayor, is in a tough situation where, in order to really fix the situation, he would have to reveal himself as being the Green Arrow, but he can't do that, so he has to choose between, saving the Green Arrow and kind of ruining his reputation as mayor, or throwing his Green Arrow self under the bus and, kind of ruining his reputation as that, and having, sending the cops after him. So that was interesting. It's an interesting thing that Prometheus was able to exploit. I think that's one thing that makes Prometheus a good villain, which we'll get to him in a second. But it's just kind of a confusing thing having to be the mayor of the Green Arrow. I've said that multiple times already, so I need to stop saying that. One cool thing about Oliver being mayor was that Quentin ended up being deputy mayor, so I like that they did that. But moving on to the flashbacks this season, I actually didn't even mention the flashbacks in my season 4 video, because they were just terrible. At least he was on Leon Yu that season, but it was just kind of, alright, we're doing magic because we have Damien Dark now. We have to kind of tie it together. It wasn't great. It wasn't good. So, I just kind of didn't even mention that there. And I was fully ready to, kind of bash the flashbacks this season at the beginning. Again, the flashbacks for the first half of the season were awful. I just didn't care about him being in Russia and the whole Bratva thing. I didn't care at all about that. But once they started to explore, him becoming the Arrow, him putting on the hood, him meeting Talia al Ghul, and, actually having him become the Green Arrow, that was cool. I like that part of it. It gave, Season 1 vibes, which I really liked, because obviously Season 1 was great, and, the show has gone downhill a bit since then, but returning to that a bit here, that was fun to see. That was fun to see Oliver really just, being dark and killing people, and that was fun to see. And also, since this is the 5th year, they had to wrap up the, flashbacks, wrap up him being on the island, show him getting rescued, and I think that they actually did that well. They actually had a good explanation for why he was back in the island, why he returned when he did. It was like, they made it was a planned thing. He was like, okay, I have to go back to Leon Yu because that's the thing that's going to make the most sense. That's the easiest to explain. I was on the island for 5 years, stranded there. That way he doesn't have to explain going to Hong Kong, going to Russia, why he didn't return when he did, because he was just on the island. He never got rescued until the boat came. Whereas in reality, he just didn't want to go back home because he was a monster. He felt like that he had gone too far, and he didn't want his family to see him like that. But then he realizes that he has to go back. He has to fulfill what his father wants him to do. With the whole list, saving the city, righting his father's wrongs. And so he decides to go back, and again, the island is the most, it's the easiest solution for, people to understand, not question why he didn't come back sooner, and to not, kind of think that he's the Arrow. Because obviously, if they knew Oliver Queen did some terrible things in the 5 years, that would obviously, make him a great candidate for being the Arrow. But, if he was just a scared boy on the island, nobody's gonna be like, nobody's gonna really think, he's definitely the Arrow. They're just gonna think that he's helpless playboy Oliver Queen that barely survived on an island for 5 years. I think that the whole thing with having him have a fake beard and wig, that was a bit I understand why they did that, but, because obviously, from a production standpoint, to have to, you'd have to figure out, each year it growing a little bit, and, how much to have it grow, whereas you could just have him, put on the fake wig and beard, and, to just give off the impression that he hadn't shaved in 5 years. So, I understand why they had to do that, but it just seemed like that's the explanation you went with. So, I don't know, wasn't the biggest fan of that. But besides that, I think they were able to wrap up the flashbacks well, having him call his mother on the boat. I thought that was good. And yeah, I think they did a good job at wrapping up the 5 years and actually finishing off the flashbacks well. I thought for sure that they were going they were gonna really just be awful, that it was gonna be like some of the worst flashbacks of the series so far. But it actually ended up being some of the best. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by the flashbacks this season in the last half. We also got a little bit of Felicity this season, kind of at the beginning and at the end, and I like that. Of course, as you know, I enjoy Felicity. I know a lot of Arrow fans hate them. They're like, that's the worst shipping ever. That's the worst couple ever. But I actually enjoy Felicity, and I think they're a cute couple. So I like seeing seeing them start to get back together, and of course they have the whole thing at the beginning where Felicity has a new boyfriend who's a cop, and Prometheus ends up tricking Oliver into killing him, thinking that he's Prometheus, and again that ends up getting covered up and creates a whole scandal with that. So I think that because of that, you couldn't have Felicity go right from cop boyfriend getting killed to, oh, I'm gonna be with Oliver now. So you kind of had to give some time for that, and they were able to finish off the season with them getting back together, or at least starting to. I know first episode of season 6, they're pretty much back together. So yeah, I like that. I like that they did a little bit of that here. So I like seeing that because, again, I really enjoy LSD. So moving on to Prometheus, our villain this season, District Attorney Adrian Chase. I thought that was cool. That was a cool reveal there. It was kind of obvious that, Adrian Chase was Prometheus. They, when they revealed that, it was weird because they did it in the middle of an episode, and I was like, that felt weird. Wait, why did that seemed like something you'd reveal at the end of an episode as the big reveal, oh my god, Adrian Chase is Prometheus, even though we saw it all along, but it's still a big reveal. But they just did it in the middle of an episode, so I found that really weird. I guess because they needed to have that happen for the end to make sense, where he ends up capturing Oliver's reporter girlfriend, Susan Williams. But that just seemed like a really weird choice to have him, to have that be revealed in the middle of an episode. But still, I think Prometheus was a great villain. I think that he kind of seemed like a mix of the Dark Arrow and Deathstroke, because he seems like the Dark Arrow in the fact that, he's an archer, and he doesn't have any powers, but he's like Deathstroke, he's like Slade Wilson in that, he's this mastermind who's always, 10 steps ahead of Oliver, and he's able to play mind games with him, and it's just, so, I think he was just a really cool villain. I think that the villains that mess with Oliver's head are the best ones. Yeah, I really enjoyed him as a villain, and having him explore the psychology of Oliver and revealing to him the truth, that he doesn't want to believe that he's a monster, that he likes killing, that the reason he started the whole crusade being the Green Arrow, or first being the Arrow, is he just wanted to kill people. He just needed an excuse to do that. That was some serious stuff. That was some dark stuff there, and I think that was so cool to see, especially because when they have that whole scene going on where he's captured, they're kind of going back and forth with the flashbacks showing him in Russia as when he's first becoming the Arrow, and he's just killing everybody, and he's really going dark, and I thought that was very well done. And so again, that's one reason why the last half of this season I think was so much better than the first half, because you got to have Prometheus messing with Oliver. You got to have Adrian Chase messing with Oliver, with all the mind games and everything. I thought that was, you could have fun with that, and it could get really dark at times, and I thought that was really good. And also, obviously, having kind of, Prometheus being a consequence of Oliver's season 1 actions, because he's the son of somebody that Oliver killed in the season 1 era. He was somebody that Oliver checked off the list, and so because of that, that's why Adrian Chase is after Oliver. That's why, that's why he's doing all this, because he killed his father. He's trying to fulfill his father's legacy, and he's just a consequence of Oliver's past. I thought that was also very interesting. I think that's one thing that makes Arrow villains interesting, is having them have a connection to Oliver's past. And he was trained by Talia al Ghul, which that was an interesting reveal also, having Talia be Ra's al Ghul's daughter. That was cool. But, to have that connection with them also, I just think Prometheus was a great villain. And again, he's one of the, main things that made the last half of the season great. So now I want to talk about the finale. And I think that this finale may have been the best finale of any season of Arrow yet. I mean, they brought in so many characters. They brought a bunch of characters back into the mix. They got Malcolm Merlyn, Nyssa Al Ghul, Slade Wilson, the Boomerang guy from the first crossover with Flash and Arrow. They got Samantha and William, Oliver's son. I mean, that was so cool to have all of these characters in one place and on Lian Yu. Because, obviously that episode was, was kind of wrapping up the flashbacks and having him, get rescued. And so it was cool to have the main story also be on Lian Yu. We have Malcolm Merlyn sacrifice himself to save Thea because she steps on a landmine, and so he has to, switch, and he steps on the landmine and saves Thea, and then he ends up dying, I think. I wouldn't be surprised if somehow they reveal that he's actually still alive, but at least for now, he's dead. And I think that was cool to have him go out being, a father for Thea. That's the reason why he dies, is protecting Thea. So, I thought that was cool, showing, that he really does care about her. And that's also his whole reason for, being there, for helping Oliver. Really, anytime he helps Oliver, that's the main reason, is just for Thea. So, so I think that was a good death for him. If it is the death, I think it was really good. And we also have Black Siren, Laurel from Earth 2, and obviously, Quentin has some problems with that, because obviously he's seeing Laurel, and Laurel dies, and he's having to come to terms with the fact that this isn't his Laurel. So I like that. They have that kind of element in the last 2 episodes. We have Prometheus. His whole plan is he wants Oliver to kill him, and, one, to prove that Oliver is a killer and likes killing, but 2, because he has put bombs all over the island, and when he dies, the bombs are set to explode and kill everybody on the island. So eventually Prometheus makes Oliver choose between saving William or saving everybody else that are still on the island, because he either needs to kill Prometheus, saving William, but killing everybody on the island, or, not kill Prometheus and let him kill William. Of course, Oliver finds another way. He just shoots, Prometheus in the leg, making him let go of William. But then Adrian Chase kills himself, and the island explodes, and that's where the season ends. Of course, I had to go to the first episode of season 6 to see what happened. I was very disappointed to see that they did it all in flashbacks. Kind of made me think about the whole thing with Flash season 2, with how they dealt with the whole singularity thing in flashbacks. Wasn't a big fan of that. But we find out that some characters died, not nearly as many as should have from what happened, but that's all I'll say, just in case, you're kind of watching it along with me, and, you've finished season 5 and haven't gone on to 6 yet. I won't spoil too much, but, you don't need to worry that much about all of the characters. But I think that this season had a really great last half. I think that, again, it was some of the best Arrow ever. I think the finale may have been the best finale yet, and yeah, I think it was great. Again, the first half, just because of just trying to have all of the new characters in there, they just, again, weren't that interesting. They wanted you to care, but you just didn't. So once they kind of figured it all out and, kind of shifted the focus from all the new characters to more of Prometheus, Adrian Chase, messing with Oliver, exploring the psychology of Oliver and why he started all of this. I think that worked a lot better than, focusing on, Ragman and, Artemis and Mr. Terrific. Of course, they don't kind of shift their focus too far away from, Curtis, Mr. Terrific, but, at least that, they are not focusing so much on all the new characters. Anyway, those are all my thoughts on Season 5 of Arrow. It did some really cool stuff, really bad stuff, but I think overall I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see what happens next. But anyway, please comment below your thoughts on Arrow Season 5 and of the video, and remember to give this video a like, to subscribing to the channel, and maybe check out some of my other videos. And with that said, that's a wrap.